fractions to decimals. To convert a fraction into a decimal, simply divide the numerator by the denominator. Okay? If I give you a question like that, yeah, I will let you use your calculator. Okay? So let's look at the second example, 17 out of 20. Here's something where we could see, well, how many equal parts are we referring to? Our whole is referring to 20 equal parts. But how many of those 20 parts are we referring to? 17 of them. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take 17 and we're going to divide it by 20. So if you have your calculator out, which you should all have, 17 divided by 20 is 0.85. 0.85. Okay, 0.85. Now, when referring to decimals, here's one thing that I want you to know. Whenever you have a decimal, common way to write this, some students do this, 0.85. Never start off your number with just a point. Always include a 0 in front of it. Okay. Always include a 0 in front of it. Some of your calculators, depending on which type of calculator you have, the minute you hit the decimal and then you hit the next number, it will automatically usually put the 0 in front of it. It's just proper, because how do I know that you didn't just drop your pencil, let's say, on the paper, right, and get your decimal in there? So make sure that your decimal is clear. Okay, and try not to rush putting in, right, or 0.85, whatever, any of that doesn't really look like a decimal. Okay, make your decimal clear. Okay. Now let's go to this one here, 3 over 4. We're referring to how many equal parts in our whole? 4 equal parts. How many parts are we referring to? Of the 4, 3. Right. So 3 divided by 4. 0.75. Okay. So there is my fraction into a decimal. Really simple. Right? Really simple. Decimals to fractions. Okay? This is where things can get a little bit tricky, right? It was easy because all we have to do is multiply top and bottom. But now, when we are converting decimals into fractions, the following statement holds true, right? This is what you have to keep in mind. When converting decimals to fractions, find the place value of the very last digit. Right? So in 0.2, there's really only one digit that we're referring to. Which number is that? 2, right? 2 is the digit, right? 0.2. Now, what place value is that 2 belong to? What does it belong to? Tenths, right? The tenths column. So right away we put our decimal, or sorry, our denominator as 10, something over 10. Next part is remove the decimal. And we don't have a number like 0.2, but the number would be just 2. And we don't put 0.2. Never you know the 0. So the answer is 2 over 10. But is that in lowest terms? No, we can divide top and bottom by 2. So the lowest terms would be 1 over 5. Now, how can I go about in testing to make sure that I did it correctly? You have time, all of a sudden you're looking at it and go, oh, I've got time, teacher's not collecting my test. What am I going to do? Exactly. Take my numerator, divide it by my denominator. So take 1 and divide it by the denominator. Do you get the same fraction as the 0.2? That's really what you're testing out. Okay. Next one, 0.75. The last digit, what place value are we in?
Well, we use 75 out of 100.
Okay, so what place value is the 5 in?
The 5 is in the hundreds.
Hundreds, right? So we know our denominator is 100. So we remove the decimal, and we can remove also the 0. So the answer is 75 over 100. Now, is that in lowest terms? Whenever we have big numbers, we assume something's got to fit. Sometimes they might not. There might not be a number that divides evenly in both top and bottom. But we should know that a number divides evenly into both. What number divides evenly? 5, right? So, 75 divided by 5? 12. Oh, you guys should have your calculators out. 15. So, 100 divided by 5, 20. 15 out of 20,
Okay.
lowest terms?
Yeah.
Is it in lowest terms? No, it's not. So we're going to divide top and bottom by 5 again. So that's okay, because remember, just because you find a number doesn't mean we stop. We test it out and see, are there any other numbers that we can divide? Maybe we didn't pick the largest number that we can divide top and bottom by. So 15 divided by 5 is 20 divided by 5. Okay. So the fraction that is represented by 0.75 is 3 over 4. Okay. But remember, 15 out of 20 is an equivalent fraction. 75 out of 100, equivalent fraction. And as we tested out before, right? You want to test it out, and did I get it correctly? Divide numerator by denominator. Do you get the same answer? Now, what about this one here? 3.6. Same rules apply. Right? What place value is our last digit in? In the tenths. Right? So our denominator is tenths. Same rule applies. We remove the decimal. But now we're not removing a 0. Right? Our numerator is 36 out of 10. So what kind of fraction is that when the numerator is larger than the denominator? An improper fraction. I will tell you if you have to convert improper fractions into what we call mixed numbers. Okay? But I'm fine with you keeping fractions as improper fractions. Just make sure they're in lowest terms. Is that in lowest terms? No. What can we divide top and bottom by? By 2. So 36 divided by 2? 18. 10 divided by 2? 5. Is there any other number that can divide evenly? No, it's in lowest terms. Okay. But again, remember as we said, this is considered an improper fraction. Okay. And we are going to talk about mixed numbers